Night is coming down and I have to wait for a sign from above.
A hope, a wish escapes.
I am prey of my tears, I want to fly to a place where he is.
To the darkened skies. Take your black wings, 'cause I am not afraid of what's beyond. Tell my soul to sleep, 'cause all the promise that I have is gone.
When he left me in this world, I lost my dreams. They became nightmares.
All my hope is gone.
Good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be in the cosmos, the whole existence of creation. Rocken Larry Locken with Pleiadian Talk. I'm joined, of course, by my occasional co-host, Victoria Pleiadian from London in the great UK, head of the Pleiadians UK. She's the head admin for the Pleiadians UK group. And I'm delighted to have her with me as my co-host today. And I'm also delighted to have a gentleman by the name of Stoki Megatooth, who is in a lot of these starseed groups that Victoria and I are in and that we admin. And he's here today to talk a little bit about his music, a little bit about his quest for a spiritual awakening. The song that you just heard was by his band called Infamous Mortis, and he's going to talk a little bit how music plays on his consciousness, as well as, you know, how he got started in these starseed groups. First of all, Victoria, and we'll get to you in a minute. How are you doing, dear, all the way in London? How are you?
Oh, hello, Larry. I'm happy to hear from you. No, I'm really good today. Thank you. I'm just really glad to be here to speak to you and to Stokey. Actually, it's really going to be an interesting show, I feel, and I'm really looking forward to it.
I am too. I'm stoked to have Stokey here with us. I'm really stoked to have Stokey here with us. And you know, and without any further ado, Stokey, welcome to the group. No, I know that we've been, welcome to the show, and we've been trying to get you on for a while. Most of that's been my fault with, being tied up with other things and stuff like that. But everything all, in due time. And I'm just really grateful to have you here. We had a really good talk before the show, and I think we're just going to go ahead and get into the flow. But one of the first things that, I kind of wanted to ask you to get the ball rolling a little bit is, what makes Stokey tick? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and most importantly, really, tell us about how you encountered these starseed groups and what drew you to these groups. But give us a little bit of progression leading up to that. Maybe some of your spiritual experiences in life, as well as your love for music. But we can get into that later. I'm just glad to have you on the show. Welcome.
Thanks, Larry. Real happy to be here, and I want to thank you and Victoria for taking the time out for helping me with this, because I have a lot of questions, and you guys are really experienced in the whole spiritual realm, and I just feel that I needed to talk to somebody that has the experience that you do, the way you can channel your spiritual guides, and you can just see them anytime you want, speak to them anytime you want, and that's awesome. So I really appreciate that.
Thank you.
So anyway, a little bit of my background is I've been a musician since I was 14. I play drums. I also play guitar and piano on the side. I got my first psychic reading when I was about 19, and I was also in a band at the time. And the first time I ever got my psychic reading, the lady was amazing. She was really on. She was dead on about everything that she said to me, and everything she said happened, including with some people screwing me over and things of that aspect. And ever since then, I've always gotten readings from people and psychics, but I never found anyone as accurate as she was with certain readings. I've seen accurate people before. I've been palm readers, people that read energies and tarot cards and all that stuff. But I've had readings ever since, and about 2 years ago, I've had a reading from a psychic, and she told me about the star people and starseed, and she told me to search it. And once I searched it, I got a really good understanding, much better understanding of a little bit about who I am and where I come from. But unfortunately, as I found out more, it kind of led to more questions. So then I started, searching a little bit more into it, and then I came across you guys. Now, before I came across you guys, I was actually researching the Pleiadians. I don't know what made me start searching it, but I think I was just reading up on them, and I noticed that I had a lot of traits, Pleiadian traits. So I just wanted to look into it a little bit more. And then I started researching the bloodlines a little bit, RH negative and AB negative, just to get info about it. And then again, I had more questions. So finally, I found Pleiadians on the groups, and I started doing some adding. And I said, you know what, let me promote a little bit. So I asked if it would be okay to promote my music and send it in, and I copied and pasted a couple links, and now here's the shocker. I've actually gotten more of a response from the spiritual groups, people that were into my music, than I have been promoting in rock and metal and other groups like that. So I kept on doing it, and then until I became friends with Larry and Victoria, and then we just started talking and really hit it off. And I was really eager to get an interview and just really talk to them, because I got a lot of experiences that I wanted to share, and I'm just looking for guidance, So here we are today.
Here we are today, and I'm glad to have you here, because you just said some things that really resonate with me. You get, as a Pleiadian, you get just sort of drawn to that name, and then you get drawn to these groups, and you meet people, and it's just like with you asking to post your music, right? Okay, I got a good feel about that. It wasn't even what you asked me, it was the feel and the vibration I got was positive and right. Somebody else could ask that, and you wouldn't really think anything of it. Okay, well, go ahead and do it, but don't make purpose why you were guided into our lives to offer that music, which I'm hoping turns into a situation where we do that, where we play your music as our bumpers for every show now. That would be really wonderful to do. I mean, you're asking for the right reasons. It's not like somebody, and just like you mentioned to me in the pre-show, brother, you were talking about, kind of trying to find what maybe star system you're aligned with, or what, what you vibe with, and you were wanting to do that for the right reasons, the right growth reasons. Some people will ask that question just to ask it and throw it out there like a cliche, but it's just, I think Victoria and I have been doing this long enough, especially in adminning, that we can tell one person asks a question and the other person asks the same question, but you can tell the difference in feelings of it, and I'm just really grateful to have you.
Awesome. I'm really happy to be here.
I think it's really interesting.
Staley interviewed a million times. Yeah. Victoria Pleiadian, I'm curious to fix what you had to say about all this. Everybody wants to know that. That's what the hot topic is now.
Well, it's like you as well, Larry. I mean, as soon as how me and Stokey met through obviously the groups as well, he came into Pleiadian UK, and he was asking very politely, without even just posting. He actually asked me, and obviously I came and answered, and I said, yeah, please play your music. I knew in my heart as well that listening to his music is actually the style that I like, because I like I'm you know, what people call probably a metalhead, or, you know, but basically I like metal and goth and alternative music, and I was just really like, wow, this is really cool. And I was just, you know, I had it like you did as well. Like, I had a really good feeling about it, and I thought, you know, and obviously after that I became friends, and me and Stokey became friends, and then obviously after that we started talking, and it wasn't so much the music, because it was like his music is, to me, has aspects of spirituality, but also when he was messaging me in boxes while talking, it was really that I felt like from genuinely from him that he wanted to connect with his star family. He was asking me, and it wasn't like I get a lot of messages from people, obviously, like you do as well, Larry, and you know, it just really felt like he was really talking from the heart, and he really wanted to connect with his star family. So I feel from that point on, we would talk regularly, and then he'd sort of tell me about some of the experiences he's had in the past, and some of them he'll talk about in a minute. And really, it was a way of getting to sort of speak to him and get to know him, and I picked up on his energy, that he has a lot of, you know, beautiful energies and angels around him. And really, it's just really interesting because he has the musical frequency that is spiritual, and yet he's on the quest to find his spirituality, and furthermore with that. And I just think, you know, it's you know, I think it's really interesting that, you know, even before the pre-show we were talking, and I think this is where I let Stokey talk, where about his experiences, and I think, Stokey, you know, me and Larry really want to hear more, and if you could, you know, perhaps tell the listeners about your Native American experiences and all your spiritual experiences. I feel. Just go ahead.
Sure. Well, first off, ever since about my late teens, I've had the dead come to me within dreams. You know, whether it be family or whether it be, you know, somebody I, you know, never met before. And what happened to me, not once but twice, I've had a Native American come to me in my dreams. And before I get into that, back when I was in middle school, we were in class, and out of nowhere, the classroom door opened up, and then it slammed shut really loud. And everybody's looking around. They're like, "What the hell was that?" You know, everybody's freaking out. So the teacher saw that everybody was a little bit nervous. So then he started explaining that back all the way back to where years ago, when the Native Americans were on this land in New Jersey, they said that the land was taken from them. And what happened was, once the land was taken from them, they put a curse on the land. And ever since then, they said that land has been cursed, or allegedly, you know, the teacher. So now, fast forwarding a couple of years, back to when I had the dream, Native American came to me, and he was a holy man, and I'm about 90% sure he was the person that was the one that put the curse on the land. And he said to me, you know, the stories you hear about this land are true. He said this land is actually really cursed. And he said, you know, but don't worry, I will not harm you. And as soon as he said that, I immediately got this vibe where, you know, it's almost as if he was welcoming me to live on his land. And then after that, I'd have woken up. And the other experience I had with the Native American was, some of you probably know, a lot of you probably don't know, but there's another holy Sioux Indian that came to me. His name was Black Elk, and he was really big in the 1800s. Everyone's familiar, you know, with his teachings and everything. Mm-hmm. And with, I'm trying to think when this was, maybe 2010, 2011, you know, happened. I dreamed, he came to me in the dream, and now what we had to do, it was me, him, and another person, which I didn't see his face, or, you know, I didn't know who it was. And in this dream was we were supposed to all work together to stop a war from happening. And there was no violence involved, and it was something as simple as just, you know, walking into a barracks and stealing some documents and giving it to the right people, and just, you know, just to stop, you know, violence from happening. And we did it, and in the dream, and after we did it, in the dream, the army moved away, and then it was just left with me, Black Elk, and the other deity which was there, whom I didn't see his face or didn't know who he was, and it was the Native American people, or the Sioux people. They were all cheering and everybody was happy, and then soon they all cleared away, and then it was just me and Black Elk, and we were just sitting on a rock, relaxing, just talking about simple things, and then eventually he got up and left, and then I woken up. And so those are my two experiences with Native Americans coming to me in my dreams. So that's what I wanted to share with you guys. So I'm happy to hear your thoughts on it.
Wow. Yeah, that's really interesting actually, Stokey. Because one thing that when we were speaking in the pre-show before the radio, I actually touched upon when you were actually telling me and Larry this story, that it feels like Black Elk, possibly, you know, there may have been a Native American connection, even as far back maybe a past life, or, you know, where your soul incarnated at that time, where you just wanted to, you know, either finish a task, or maybe you had a contract with him, and maybe really that's what it's all meant to be, or maybe he's meant to teach you in that lifetime, and you're meant to bring the teaching over to this time. You know, however it is, or how it's meant to be, it's meant to be as it is. And I feel that, you know, the Native American people are very sacred, and they're very close to my heart. I'm actually part Native American Cheyenne, and I believe Larry actually lives in a reservation as well. So you know, it's really interesting, because Native American people are very sacred, as I said, and, you know, it really is interesting that spiritually they have actually opened up to you, and you've opened up to them. So, you know, whether it's past life or not, or beyond, it's interesting, because I feel like, you know, Black Elk may actually be your spirit guide, and some spirit guides do connect to you, you know, whether you're dreaming or dream time. They will come to you, the elders and spiritual beings come to you to, you know, to give you a message, and, you know, to show you past life, to show you future, present, and various things. And I think that's really amazing. You got to, you know, touch on that. And it's really amazing, Stokey. Is you know, and also you were going to tell us more about your other experiences with the angel, I believe.
Yes, I am. Actually, I do have another experience to tell you. This deals with an astral projection, and this is something else that kind of led me to a Pleiadians as well. Now, check this out. My girlfriend was over, and we were sleeping together, and it had to be it was in the early a.m., like very, very early in the morning when it was still dark out. And, you know, sometimes, you know, you wake up, and, you know, then you go back to sleep. It happened to be I had just woken up, I don't know, by somebody walking around the house, whether it be family members or, you know, or the dog. So I went back to sleep, and what happened was I was sleeping, but I don't know, I almost kind of went into like a trance where I felt that, like, I felt some sort of energy going through me, almost like I was being electrocuted, but not, you know, not like literally being electrocuted, but you feel that pulsing energy going through you. And my eyes were kind of like fluttering, so I was asleep, but I was awake, but I was totally conscious of everything that was going on around me. So what happened was I kind of began to rise off my above my bed. And then I kind of made like a 180 turn, and then I just kind of fell back. I was falling back. So at first I fell back, you know, kind of hard, but then like something kind of caught me, and then kind of like I start moving in slow motion. And then I'm looking around my room, and then my whole room just becomes black, you know, just like black as space. And then all of a sudden I start seeing, you know, I start seeing the whole universe. I start seeing stars and planets and nebulas and, like, you know, all that stuff. So I'm looking around and I'm thinking, oh wow, this is really cool. So I see all around me the 360 degrees, and all of a sudden I start warping right through space, and, you know, I'm going, you know, faster than the speed of light. I'm going through wormholes and all these, you know, really cool things that you see on, like, science fiction or that you see on TV. But it's so hard to describe. It was so real. So I'm going, and it was almost like a trip, you know. I went through a whole wormhole, and then, you know, I'm looking at another star, a one-star system, just to see it as it is. And then I jump to another wormhole, and then I'm going through somewhere else, and then it stops somewhere else that I've never seen before. And then I go through it the third time. I come through the wormhole again, and then I stop, and now I see this star system. And it's a star system I've never seen before. And everything kind of just blacked out, and then everything was being focused on this whole star system. And then I see a couple big bright stars, kind of like to the middle, and then a little bit to the left side. And then I see 3 or 4 stars on, like, the top right. And now all of a sudden, these three top stars, I see them are kind of like getting bigger, as if, like, somebody's trying to tell me something. But at the time, I really couldn't understand what it was. So then again, that's where I got left with more questions. So, okay. So then I start kind of fading away from it, and then I go back exactly where I came through, and boom, I woke up, and I kind of came out of that astral projection. So I told my girlfriend what happened, and, you know, she got a little jealous of me because she's also into spiritual stuff too, and she wanted to have an experience like that. So a couple years go by, and when I start looking at, and when I start researching Pleiades, and I was looking at this, I think it was Larry's profile I looked at, because he had the picture of the star system, and then I looked at it, and then as soon as I looked at it, I just immediately went right back to that time when I was astral projecting, and it looked almost exactly like the star system of Pleiades, and it was the 3 stars that were kind of like pulsating and getting larger. So I don't know if maybe that was somebody trying to tell me something. Maybe I come from somewhere within those 3 star systems, or maybe I come from all 3 stars. I don't know, but I just wanted to share that with you guys just to see what you think. So happy to hear your thoughts on it.
Yeah, hey, first of all, very resonating, very resonating. It sounds totally, and Victoria and I were chatting each over on the sidebar in the you know, the question section, and it totally resonates with us, and it totally sounds like a Pleiadian experience. Now, my question is, one, real quick, how old were you? Do you remember how old you were when you had that experience there?
You're talking about the astral projection?
Yes, sir. Yeah, the astral one that you just described.
25 or 26. It wasn't that long ago. It was like maybe 1 or 2 years.
Wow. Wow. Usually those only happen like that when you're really, really young, like before 6. And another thing, but it's not so much that really struck me about that, was the intensity. You really got the full-on hardcore intensity of moving through all of that quick, the nebulas, the star systems, and all of that. And I guess what I was going to ask you is, do you remember at all doing that? Do you remember being, it sounds like you're so cool and calm. It didn't sound like it bothered you at all. A lot of people get bothered by astral traveling because there is some dark energy on the lower plane still. Some of them get scared of it because it moves so fast. And you just, the way you just described it was quicker than I've ever heard anybody describe an astral traveling. And I don't astral travel consciously. So I'm kind of jealous in a way. I'm a big fan of astral traveling, but I don't do it consciously, personally myself. But, I mean, were you scared at all, or were you just enjoying the ride?
I mean, actually, no, I wasn't scared at all. I kind of felt like I was flying just right through the star systems, and I was getting a good glimpse of everything as I was passing by. But then when I was traveling really, really fast, like through the wormhole, it was kind of hard to see, where I was going. I just, I just like how you see on a science fiction. You just see a tunnel, and then you're going through it like at warp speed. But then once I came out of the tunnels, then I was seeing, more of the star systems, like a better glimpse of whatever. But you see, unfortunately, I'm not, I do like astronomy and astrology. I don't really know the star systems that good. I mean, yeah, okay, I could find maybe Orion, or I could find the Big Dipper, Little Dipper, but it was stuff that I've never seen before. So, it was great seeing it, but at the same time, I kind of didn't really know what I was seeing or where I was. But it was really interesting, just watching, just going through the whole thing. And what's frustrating me is I'm trying to gain control of that. I mean, there's some people that can just close their eyes and just go out to another dimension and just not even think of it twice. And with me, it's like it just happens in like certain occurrences when I'm not expecting it, or not expecting it. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get to a point where I can control it. And my problem is I can't control it. I can't control when I astral project, or I can't control when I have a vision. And that's where I felt that I had to talk to you guys about this. And so yeah, here we are.
So those astral trips, they just, okay, you can't control them. They just kind of happen. They just kind of happen for you. And I asked that because I'm trying to recollect back if I know of people that do astral projecting, and there is even a group on Facebook where there's some people that do it, and a lot of people that do it well and seem like they really know what they're talking about. And it seems to me like that some of them have it down to a science where they can I think some people that really have studied it for a long time and have practiced it for a long time can control their astral travels. But then again, I don't know, because it's not something I consciously, I really do. I'm just still amazed by that it was so later on in life you had such a vivid one like that was so quick through the universe. And I'm thinking too that maybe that happened to the Pleiades. It really ties in with your fascination with music, light colors, not liking drama and earth religions, like seem to fit you and me and Victoria. Those are Pleiadian characteristics. And the Syrian star system came into my mind for a second when you mentioned the 3 stars, and I don't know why. I might have been thinking back when you were talking about those Native American visions. A lot of Native indigenous Syrian incarnate or Syrian rooted, but then again, a lot of the American indigenous are Pleiadian rooted. At least that's the feel that I get, and the thought that I get is that they are. And I know that Victoria and I, and apparently you, we have a deep connection to that. So and was it just a handful of times? I know you probably already told us that or told me that, but I was so busy getting things set up for the show that I might have overlooked that. Were these just a handful of times, or between a certain age you had those?
Actually, Larry, I'm sorry. Could you repeat your question again? I lost you. I lost contact with you for a minute, and then I didn't hear you. So could you just repeat the question again?
Sure, no problem. It's okay. It's a Pleiadian thing. We're all cut off from home, actually. Well, what I was getting at, without rambling on, was these Native American dealings that you had with Black Elk and with these guides. Were these just a few times only? And was it during a certain age period in your life? And do you still have contact on that level with them?
Okay. The only time I heard from the Native Americans was twice. All right. The first time, I believe I was 25, and then I think the second time they contacted me, maybe I was possibly 26, around there, maybe 23, 24, but somewhere around there. I like I said, I know that doesn't help you. I can't really say for definite for sure, but I do know it was definitely closer to my early 20s where I heard from them. But unfortunately, no, I don't really hear from him anymore. It would be great if I do, but it was just those 2 times that they came to me in the dreams, and that was it. So.
Okay, that really resonates. That really resonates because it apparently that was just part of the, you know, either a contract that you had with them, and that they were only to come to you a few times and give you these visions or give you these thoughts. It sounds like it wasn't a permanent guide situation, or it wasn't a situation where these were your guides anymore, or these were your guides in this lifetime anymore. They were just there to get you kind of jump started in a way, actually, and then, you know, basically, you know, like a loving guide, you're on your own after that. But that really resonates with me. Do you have any, you know, you mentioned the astral traveling. Do you have any dealings like that anymore, really? Or are you kind of just in that situation now where you've kind of in your own mind trying to figure it out? I mean, are you getting any of these dreams anymore?
No, ever since I had that astral travel, that's all that happened. Nothing's happened ever since.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm at a loss for words. Like I'm trying to figure out to make some sense of it. I'm trying to, that's why I've been doing all the researching and trying to do, you know, find out everything. And that's why I've been so eager to talk to you guys, because, you know, I feel like I came as far as I can trying to figure this out on my own, but I need somebody with experience to, you know, really help me through this. Okay, you know, maybe you should try doing this. Maybe I should try doing this. Or, you know what I mean? Something that will just, you know, make that connection. But the last psychic reading I got, they did tell me that I am gonna have some sort of very spiritual awakening, and then once it does happen, that's it. It's on. You know, the button's on, and you know, it's not gonna be like, you know, oh, I have something here, I have something there. You know, it's gonna be there, you know, for forever. So I'm just trying to take all the necessary steps to, you know, make that happen. But you know, lately I just feel like I don't really know what else to do, because, you know, I don't know what you guys know. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think the main thing is, especially with star families, is, you know, one of the things is they, because of their timeline and our timeline, even though they don't actually have time as what we have here, it's linear, it's just that, you know, they'll say we'll be back, or, you know, whatever time we'll be back. They'll never give us a number or time, but, you know, they are part of our life, even if they're unseen. You know, when the Pleiadians come to me, it's not so much as seeing them, it's the energy that they actually project with you as a comforting. And I feel that even though your spirit guides came to you in your dreams, I do honestly feel that for the time that they were there in your life, and obviously now, you know, like Larry said quite rightly, it may be just a short-term contract, because new guides will always come in and, you know, back out your life, and you have a new guide. The further you progress spiritually, you actually find that you do have a new guide that will come in. And I'm sure some of the listeners can resonate with that, because, you know, new guides do pop in and out. I've had a unicorn guide, but it was more the unicorn energy from a different dimension, as opposed to obviously like the Fey realm, but, you know, it's not unheard of. So, you know, to be quite honest, a lot of patience is needed, and obviously to master patience is part of your mastery as well, into becoming into, you know, yourself, your God self, your creator self. Is really, you have to master all these things, and then obviously have that connection, innate connection with your God self and the divine. And just really embrace that. I mean, they come to you, your star family, when they feel that you are ready, rather than when you feel you're ready. So it's really about, and also consciousness. They will come into your consciousness. And I think, considering they've actually helped you progress where you are now. And, you know, I think part of the thing is for you to just delve further and just say, okay, well, they've come into my life so far, you know, I may not see them, but you'll have an energy, you'll feel them. And, you know, whether you receive a telepathic message, as me and Larry do as well, you'll find that more and more of the Pleiadian consciousness will be within you, and then you'll start thinking, well, I never thought of doing that, and you'll be guided. It's like they are guides, they are you, they are the future, sort of future you, if that makes sense, on a different dimensional level. But essentially, the Pleiadians themselves, they are a consciousness, you know, rather than an actual physical 3D person or being. They're pretty much with you, and really to progress, you just sort of got to relax a lot more and take it for what it is. I mean, when they're ready to connect with you, they will, like I said, when they feel that they're ready with you rather than you with them, which seems a bit like, oh, I have to wait for ages, but, you know, it may not be the case. It may be, you know, they may come quicker, and, you know, so depending on where you're developing, and if your guides come back in, because they're all on dimensional different planes, obviously. So really, there are lessons, and I was going to ask you a question as well. There are lessons that come into your life, and if you master certain things, they know spiritually how far you've progressed and how they can help you, and what forth. And I was just going to ask that, do you feel with these experiences that you've actually learnt a part more of yourself from these experiences?
Yeah, definitely. The more, it seems like the more research I do, you know, I have a much better understanding. I wish I would have known then what I've known when I was a teenager, because, you know, yeah, I had that whole thing of, you know, not fitting in. Everybody thought I was weird, and everybody, you know, every time I go out in public, I used to get weird looks from people.
Yeah, I can relate to that completely. Yeah.
People used to, oh my God, it was the craziest thing. It used to freak me out a little bit. People used to sneer at me like I was the Antichrist. Mm. I swear to God, people would just look at me and sneer like I'm some sort of like evil person or whatever. And it's just funny. I'm just thinking of a funny story. Whenever I'm out in public with my family, you know, and as I start getting a weird look from people, my mom wants to go and just, like, she's ready to tear somebody apart, because she's like, you know, what the fuck are you looking at, whatever. but you know, I tell her, I'm like, all right, now that I have the better understanding, I'm like, calm down, relax, just move on, you know. But I wish I would have understood that at an earlier age, because that would have helped me, you know, really put things more in perspective for me, you know, instead of me trying to, you know, just going home and feeling bad, or, you know, just always feeling out of place, or even as a young kid always tried to fit in. You know, I never did. And, you know, you know, it doesn't bother me now. But, you know, I just wish I knew then, you know, what I knew now, as far as, you know, the whole starseed and the spiritual thing. But again, as I'm searching and finding out more info about it, it's still leaving me with more questions. So
yeah, definitely.
I'm trying.
You'll always have that. I mean, I can resonate with Stokey as well, because I'm alternative, and, you know, and it was the same thing that happened to me. I mean, they see the long black hair and you're dressed all in black, and they think you're the Antichrist, and quite the opposite. It really is. And that when you turn around, you actually say, well, actually, I'm not really into that, but you know, they seem to acknowledge that more than the light side. They don't see people from the heart, obviously. They, you know, this is how society is, unfortunately, but not all. Some people do give us a chance, but nevertheless, it's, you know, you do, when you, starseeds do give off a different energy, you see. So naturally, people that aren't awake with this experience, they tend to stir up emotions, you know, and it's something about them than it is more about you. But, you know, it's just how it is. I mean, some people might be repulsed by the energy, and you know, indigos and whatnots. You know, some people just can't take the starseed energy, and it's because it's more about revealing the truth to them, and it's really, you know, bringing out who they are as opposed to who you are. And of course, that's always going to stir more emotions and questions for yourself, because you think, well, what is it that makes me different? I mean, I don't fit in, and, you know, I try to, you know, brackets, act human, be human, but, you know, there's always a part of you that you will question. And, you know, coming into groups like Pleiadian groups, with, you know, what me and Larry have done, and Larry's creating all these groups, is to make us feel that, you know, we have our say, we have our role in society, and, you know, it's really about a collective as well. You know, we don't want to feel that starseeds feel left out, but some starseeds will feel like that. Some will just go their own way, and, you know, some will awaken and some won't. But really, it's about making a difference to each and every one of you. And, you know, if you can touch on the subjects and connect and have the same kind of, you know. So yeah, do you think that, Larry, as well?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Victoria, what I was going to say was, when I was hearing him talk about those situations, it reminded me of a lot of the things I went through, and a lot of the things that the Blu-ray version of the Indigos that incarnated here, predominantly from 64 to 76, give or take 5 years in each direction, they were energy holders and like kind of antennas. So you might be, for instance, Stokey, you might have been when you were younger, okay, let's just say you were walking through a grocery store and people would just look at you weird, but it wasn't necessarily like they were trying to stare you down or chin check with you or anything, but yet you couldn't figure out what the hell are they looking at, what are they staring at. And yeah, I understand that maybe you wore your hair long or whatever Victoria was talking about, you know, the different kind of dressing away, but really I see these situations with us don't have anything to really do with that. It's the energy they were picking up and didn't understand. They didn't understand your higher dimensional energy, and nor, because, you know, you'd never heard of this, nor did you understand that, you know, not that you thought you were terribly bad, but you couldn't fathom that the reason they were doing it is because they couldn't handle your higher energy. I mean, none of us were that confident in ourselves to realize how great we were and understand that. And when you don't know what's going on, it really makes it hard. I give the analogy in some shows, man, it would almost be easier to be a complete kick to the curb, black sheep by your family versus a starseed growing up, because you just feel different. You don't know what's different. You don't even know to know that there's anything different. You just feel out of place to the point where sometimes we can manifest find the hell we do, you know, before this awakening process starts. And I think in that those situations there, it really doesn't have anything to do with whether, you know, whether you were dressed like a minister or you were dressed like Gene Simmons after a 3-day binge in the 70s. Now you can stand in that power and understand you're providing energy for these people. You may not even ever meet these people. Walk by them in a store, right? Your energy may have given them the love and the consciousness to solve an issue later on in the day that was going on in their life, or have something happen and you don't even realize it, and they don't even realize why it happened. But your energy, just being in their presence, enabled that to happen. And so these people will look at you funny, like when you're younger, and you know, it's like trying to figure out what's wrong with you, and then, you know, you're looking at yourself going, well, God, I don't look that weird. What are these people's problems? But it's just that they didn't know how to take your energy. A lot of times with higher energy beings, there's people, they just can't, people of the lower vibration or consciousness, it'll practically almost send them into natural somebody being around them. I mean, that's the way I kind of look at it. Victoria, you think I'm kind of on the right path? Does that, or Stokey, does that resonate?
It resonates for me completely, Larry. It really does. It really is about the energy, and, you know, even quantum beings themselves as well, that they project this energy, and even walking through supermarkets or anything, or just being on a bus, for example, it does have an effect, you know, and obviously people will react in different situations and react differently. I mean, you just never know what you're doing, but at the same time, it is just a part of you, and in the end, you just come to realize for what it is. And you just protect yourself after that, as best as you can, I think.
Yeah, same here. I'd say Larry hit the nail right on the head. The energies and people picking up and not understanding it.
Yeah, and really on another point of that, isn't that really what it's all about? Is the is the energy. I mean, we could debate all night long or on another show about this is good, this is evil, this is in between. I mean, really throw all those out the window. Everything is just energy, consciousness, and the higher up you go, pure love. I mean, everything is just energy. There is no karma per se. This karma they talk about, well, there is in a way, because if you put something out there into the universe, eventually you get that same kind of reaction back to you, but it's not a lesson teacher, or it's not to punish you. It's just the way the energy flow works. And as we ascend more as a planet, and as humanity ascends more into the higher realms, those things will just take care of themselves. Those energy flows will be higher. There will be more love vibrations. People won't have the need to lie or have the need to be dishonest, because they won't feel like they have to, and they can live and stay in their own power. And everybody will just kind of be do their thing, but yet together as a collective. Meet new people on here all the time. Like, you get that feeling when you meet somebody like Stokey, like Victoria was talking about. Your vibe that I got from you was like hers. I really felt the star family connection to you. And I feel close to 20,000 people probably in these groups, but there's probably maybe 50, 100 maybe tops, maybe not even more than 50, that I feel a same kind of a collective kind of a energy with, a vibe. And you meet those people once in a while, and I feel like you might be one of those. I know Victoria was when I met her, even though we may be from different parts of the Pleiades, inherently, but we've worked together and dealt with each other in past endeavors, and I feel that's the same thing like with you. And I feel like your music is meant to be a big part of this too, and it, of course, it's why you've always resonated with. Taking it to some kind of another level is going to happen for you, and I don't mean you're going to become you're going to be the next Justin Bieber. Well, let's hope not, but I just feel like it's on a grander scale. It's providing something to this that can't be measured with a top 40 record or a top 10 hit. It's it's just incredible.
Thanks, I really appreciate that. You're more than welcome to use the music anytime you want. Rather it be for your show or for any other promotion. So message me later. I'll send you some more music. I do have more than just what's on the websites there. So. Just let me know, and then if there's a song that connects with you or whatever, or even if it's like a section or something, feel free to use it, man.
Mm-hmm.
But that's what it's there for. But I did have one psychic tell me that with my reading, I'm sorry, when she gave me a reading, she said that when I write my music, that I should write more with more of a spiritual influence, like the song Black Wings. That seems to be a song that likes to connect to a lot of people spiritually. I've been told that before. And she said that, you should write more songs like that just kind of like just jump out to that, give it off that spiritual vibe. And then when you guys played Black Wings at the end of the song, Victoria said that, she said, there's something about this song. And then I just say in the chat room, oh yeah, Black Wings, Black Wings resonates with me, and so you're more than welcome to use whatever you want. But at least I know now for the future stuff to write within that influence.
Well, I was actually going to ask you a question, relating to your music as well. Just off the sort of same lines of Black Wings, because when I first heard that song, you know, you can pick up the beautiful kind of serene elements from that song, and instantly I thought, well, this is beautiful because it's, you know, symphonic, and also it has the elements of the metal and the crossover and the spirituality. And I just thought I was going to ask you, do you feel that, you know, even though the psychic lady actually did mention, do you feel that you'll be going more towards, you know, even maybe extraterrestrial, sci-fi? I don't really want to put a label on it, but do you feel that you'll be going more that way with your music? More so spiritual, but more kind of connected to your soul and star family kind of influence?
It's funny you mention that. On the newer stuff that I am writing, there is a couple songs that I put more of like a atmospheric, airy, spacey kind of sound to it, rather it be if I use a key instrument, or if I put like a weird effect on a guitar, or if I put effect on a voice. But it does give that very atmospheric, spacey, almost like anti-gravity kind of, you know, trip to it.
Yeah.
Let's see how many. I'd say maybe maybe 3 songs that got that, you know, that feel to it. But you know, I would like to write more in that aspect, but still keeping it, you know, making sense musically, and just, you know, giving it that nice heavy rock and metal sound, because, you know, that's just my style. But I also I like to write in the style. I've been told that people say that I have that I write very with the modes and the minors of the music scale. I don't really know the music technicality of it, but because, you know, I'm not really classically trained, I just play what my ear tells me. And I spoke to people that are classically trained, and they said that I like to use a lot of the minors and the modes, the modal, that gives it that moody, melancholy, dark, mysterious kind of tone. And that's just my style of playing. And that kind of music was heard a lot through, you know, Middle Ages, Victorian times, even in certain like exotic places like ancient Egypt, you know, where they use those exotic gypsy scales that gives it that, you know, spiritual. And even if you listen to meditation music, you'll hear those. You hear them mix around those notes. You know, there's a CD that I actually downloaded. The guy's name is Gerald J. Maloke, and he does all ancient Egyptian music, but it's specifically meditation music. But he uses all the real instruments. Lorelina McKenna's another artist that uses those Egyptian, Middle East, but she also does a lot of Nordic and Celtic music, which is something I love, and I'm trying to influence a little bit more into the music. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think it's nice to have a, you know, a fusion of all sorts, but also, you know, you do have your own twist on your music, and I think that, you know, you are doing very well with your music, because I think before the show you also mentioned that you're doing very well with Europe as well, and obviously, you know, your music and the style of it seems to be more kind of, you know, more on the same kind of par with a lot of people's consciousness maybe in Europe, like the way your music is, it is, and the way a lot of people just get it out there, rather, you know, because we were talking about that just briefly beforehand, and maybe do you feel like, you know, it is to do with, a lot of it is consciousness, and obviously the frequency of the music that you're, you know, that people are listening to, they either relate or they can't relate, or they just have this something about them that just opens up, and it kind of makes people think, wow, there's something here, and I want more of this. And, you know, do you think there's a, you know, music wise, like in the USA compared to, you know, Europe, Would you be able to explain, like, maybe what you found out from that as well?
Yeah, sure. Between the USA and Europe, and also Canada, I promote a little bit in Canada. The biggest response I've gotten from is over in Europe, and I mean, just Europe overall is a lot more open-minded. You know, just not just with rock and metal, just with just music, and just with music in general. And you know, the people that I've talked to, people that gave me reviews, and you know, the people from, again, Europe and America. There's actually a very big company here in USA, in the Midwest, that they only interview bands from Europe and review European bands, and they gave me a really good review. But to answer your question, I mean, yeah, definitely, Europe definitely has more of that open-mindedness, and I kind of wish America did too. I'm not saying America's not open-minded. I mean, there are people out there, you know, listening now, and people in the groups that are you know, that are definitely open-minded. I'm sure, you know, starseeds, but you know, this is just what I'm getting in general. Mainly Europe, and a little bit over in Canada. There's a couple of people I talked to out of Canada that are actually really into it. But that's why most of my promoting I do in Europe. But you know, since Victoria just brought up a very good point, I mean, who knows? I mean, it is possible I could have fans upstairs. You know, I mean, maybe they could be more into it than the people on Earth here. Maybe they understand it and the people here don't. You know what I mean? So that's definitely a, you know, a possibility, or possibly even true.
And I think so. I think, you know, Pleiadians and all ETs generally, I mean, because they're so in tune with Earth that, you know, they're probably picking you up right now. They're probably picking up this broadcast just as the listeners are tuned in. We're all finally tuned to frequency. So, you know, without doubt, I do believe that different times and dimensions, they all merge together as one timeline. So it really isn't a surprise. I mean, I do feel that that's definitely a big possibility, definitely, because if you think, well, when you speak to them telepathically or communicate, you are really just tapping into like your own sort of phone line to them, I suppose, and they ring back occasionally and they tell you, well, this is how it is, and then sometimes they don't always do that for everyone, but you know, when they do it with out of love. And you know, you do your music out of love, and Larry does everything he does in his life as well, I'm sure, you know, out of love. And you know, it's just I just think it's amazing. I mean, yeah.
The energy, I was going to say too, the energy, I totally agree. I've said that forever. I think a kind of a spin on what you're saying about Europe, and even like, okay, you've got Europe, right, and then even Canada is a little bit more than quite a bit more than the United States is in tune with that frequency type of a vibrational music, that it doesn't matter what genre really it is, but it's got that vibration in it that is more in tune with their more open-mindedness, if I'm describing that right. Like Stokey, your genre of music, whatever, you know, it's got the vibration to it, right? Whereas even, you know, I like disco, a lot of people don't, but back in the 70s, you've got Euro disco and the disco here. The Euro disco had more in tune beat, I think, with the cosmos and things like that. And I think people over there appreciate good, new, different styles and spins on music. And it is, we know, the lady that runs the Pleiadians group, Leah Shapiro, the Alien Tribe, that Victoria and I admin for, she makes her own music, and it's got that spacey sound, but yet it's her own unique sound. Yours has that spacey sound, yet it's your own unique sound. Another friend of mine who's been on the show before, Lionel Anderson, he does his own music as well. It's kind of a futuristic hip-hop, whereas Leah's is kind of a futuristic, kind of a cosmo techno disco. Yours is a futuristic type of cool heavy metal, maybe, per se, but yet these spacey sounds come in through it. These new vibrations come in through it, you know what I mean? And to the point where you listen to all your guys' music and you could make the analogy that it's 10, 15, 20 years ahead of its time. You know what I mean? It sounds like something that I would think I'd be hearing, you know, by somebody that knew what they were doing 10, 15, 20 years from now. The music is, it's got that spaciness to it, and it's just really cool. But I totally agree with the way that the Europeans are and the way that your typical American is, except for I'm kind of blessed because in the Pacific Northwest region of the United States, we're kind of the one region that kind of has that, as much as you can, kind of has that European type of non-judgmental feel to it, or that a lot of Canada has. So, but yeah, it's just, you know, it's just awakening of the consciousness, you know, and yeah, but it's true. There's not, you know, what you said is 100% true. What Victoria was feeling is 100% true, and you know, I completely resonate with that. I mean, to the three of us, it's completely true about the difference, you know, and hopefully with that gaps being bridged with the raising of consciousness everywhere. But you know, it's interesting to look at the tail and see, you know, what's happening where and who set the trend and not. But I think it goes deeper and more historical than that. Even it, as to why people were put and incarnated in certain places on Earth to where they were, you know, when we came as star seeds. We definitely spread out from each other. You know, we never would have found each other without the internet, and that's good that we did. But it's so spread out that if you didn't have the internet, Stokey, you might meet in your life. You probably never meet another complete starseed like you. You may get lucky and have one or two in your life, two if you're really lucky that were close ever, but not quite on that level. But yet this has given us a medium for everybody to slowly connect and then build that next bridge, which is telepathy, and being tuned into completely the same frequencies with each other. Like it's really happening now, because the synchronicities are crazy that happen. I mean, they're not even the status quo now, and Victoria can attest to that. And it's not something really you could explain to somebody, but it's just synchronicities of, I thought this a second ago, now you're talking about this, or, you know, anything like that. And then for a while it was somebody had thought something, and then a week or two later somebody else thought something, and then it got closer. Now, I mean, it's happened second by second in conversations with people, and at least that's the way I look at it. I don't know, Vic, what do you think? Have you seen a big jump in that?
I think we are in consciousness. I feel that, you know, like for example, you and me, Larry, when we spoke, it's just like, for an example, I'll be thinking of something, and then we both type the same thing, or you'll answer my question, or I answer your question, or you'll hear someone say something in one of the groups, and before that person's even got an answer, or even, you know, said anything else, the next person will just, you know, sort of leave a message similar time as the person that's asking the question at the exact same time, or the thought of something will come into someone's consciousness like 1 week later or a week after, or all simultaneously. And I feel like we all are, as starseeds, bridging the gap for humanity as well, and we all are to some degree doing that and making a change. And also I was going to point out, even with Stokey's music, you know, maybe the purpose is really, from his music, the vibration, the frequencies is part of it. It's healing people, because music has a certain vibration, and obviously it can repair cells and DNA structure, and obviously, you know, certain music frequencies cannot do that either. So really it's getting it right, and a lot of people that listen to the music for whatever they're going through in their life, or hear music, particularly when I've listened to Leah's, actually, I just feel that, you know, I'm off in a different dimension, and I just feel like, you know, to me, it's home. You know, whether it's a certain point or a key or a note, I'm hearing something that's, you know, brings memories. It floods into your mind, and I don't know, do you get like visuals with your music as well, Stokey? Like, do you feel like you know, like you're sort of coming home?
I guess you could say that. I've had nights where I've you know, gone to sleep, and then I've heard something in my head, and I've woken up, and, you know, it's something that, you know, just like a melody stuck in my head, and, you know, I'm thinking, oh man, that'd make a great song. I gotta write that down. Or usually what happens is I'll maybe go to a fair, or I'll watch a movie, or I'll hear something, and then I'll think, oh wow, that's a really great idea. You know, I could take ideas from that and kind of make it into my own. To be honest, that's why I'm going to be really honest, and I know it's a bad thing to say as a musician, but I can't stand American music, and when I've discovered European music, I stopped listening to American music, and listening to those European bands, even if it's just a folk band. There's a couple of folk bands where they just play folk music or Renaissance music or a little bit of both, or stuff that you really wouldn't think that that you wouldn't hear on the radio or whatever, or the average person wouldn't hear. And I could get ideas from that. Also, I love piano music. Very, very dark, melancholy, depressing piano. But I mean, stuff that makes you cry. But I mean, that's just, it's not that I'm sad in any aspect. I just happen to love those dark, melodic, chords and sounds in certain notes that they use, and I think it sounds great in music. And that's what a lot of music is missing. Instead of like overproduced, oversimplified, crap, that they put out there. But as a musician, I can appreciate and play all styles of music, but I just the European is just the best in my opinion. But I mean, it doesn't go, but it goes all the way back to like ancient times. Because if you think about it, you guys, I'm talking to Victoria here. You guys in Europe were the first to, dabble in that style of music. And
Yeah.
talking way back, back to the Vikings, even back to like ancient times. You know what I mean? You guys have been playing those old Viking songs, those old Celtic songs with the bagpipes, or old Scottish songs, and
It's really to relay a story. I mean, orally, obviously didn't have books and whatever, but it really was to tell a story and to pass on to generation orally. But when music started coming into it, I mean, like Vikings, when they actually did travel into America, and some of the settlements, I believe, is like some of the Swedish descendants of actually in some parts of America and Canada and all over the world sort of thing. They have their fusions in their music, and obviously a lot of the influence, like in Europe as well, with the medieval music and Baroque, all these kind of stories and musical influences have really, I mean, that's what I do admire about Europe and England, the old kind of monasteries and music. And it really is all about devotion, music in love and showing devotion to God. It really is something that it speaks in every single language. That music is so universal. Frequency, it's a healer, it's a song for love, it's a song for all occasions, and I just feel that music is also a bridge for any situation, and to help people, whether it's spiritually growing, whether it's through meditation or whatever. Music has such a big, you could spend like a lifetime talking about it, but I think it's really important that it is a part of who we really are. I mean, the cosmic beat of the heart, the infinite drum. It's always on our minds consciously when people are in the waiting rooms and they're waiting, they're tapping with their fingers, they're playing, they're doing something. Even if it's listening to music on an iPad or iPod or whatever the pods of pods that they have these days, people will always have that really strong connection with music and historical influences, and I feel like, a lot of people, especially starseeds, will bury themselves really deep in music or art or creative all kinds of creative things to really keep their minds active, because this world is really static for starseeds, and they feel like if it's part of their mission to just conquer, to do something, for the better of mankind, And you know, whether it's producing music or writing or poetry, it's just really about hearing their voice, you know. And the voice itself, the middle C note, I believe, under the human note, you know, it could be soothing or not. It depends. Or put someone to into a deep sleep, and that's good. But yeah, I just think the whole history of music and everything it really is really intriguing, but it's all about the energetic movement, and we should probably call music the energetic movement, really, shouldn't we? I suppose, but I don't know. I don't know. What do you think, Larry?
Yeah, I think that sounds good to me. The energetic movement, and I can tell you this from my channelings, though, the Pleiadians, as far as music goes, they have told me, the consciousness for both the psychedelic rock movement of the '60s and that hippie baby boomer, the Colors, that was the thing. Disco was infused by the Pleiadians, and the reason they explained to me such the contrast is because the '70s music was a little bit there to calm down the feeling of the music that was needed in the '60s, but still these bright colors that were infused. But more so than that, whether it's a genre of music or not, but mainly in those genres of music, and even in in the music I was just listening to of Stokey's band, there's codes, there's awakening codes for star energies in that music. You know what I mean? It's meant to not just make you feel good and to like to listen to, right? But there's this music we've been drawn to historically. Maybe we've all been drawn to the European music more because there's more star energies and kind of music, whatever genre it is coming out of there. Whether it was their spin on metal over there, their spin on goth, their spin on disco, their spin on whatever the music that they were doing, it just seems like there was more of a star energy to it over there. And then unfortunately, it doesn't get all U.S. radio play historically. Lots of good music has been shut out of the U.S.
Amen, brother. All the good music is shut out.
I think
it really, it really is on all levels. It is on all levels, and I mean, even if you go back, even if you're a duffer like me that wants to listen to an oldie station right over here in the U.S., you're not going to hear. There are cool songs from those eras that were fairly big on the charts at the time here, but then they just go to die. Now in Canada, Europe, you'll hear these songs on their oldie station, but you won't hear them played over here. And it's just the same kind of mundane playlist that's played again and again and again on anything on U.S. media radio stations or whatever, whether it's modern music, whether it's a certain genre, oldies, it's like a certain loop, right? And they don't deviate, especially more and more, they don't deviate out of that corporate approved loop. So, I don't know. That's just the way it's always seemed to me here.
All they care about is really making money. If it's gonna make them their $1 million or $1 billion, they'll put any piece of crap out there and promote the hell out of it. And that's really what's about. It's not really about art anymore. It's just become franchises and business. How much money can you make me? Unfortunately, but it's kind of the reality. That's what took me so long with Pandora. When I found it, I submitted my music. Here, listen to this. True story. I submitted my music March of last year, March of 2014, and it got approved to be on Pandora in maybe like late summer, around September, and I had to wait from late September all the way until March of next year to be on there. Now, think of it like this. Does Corner Metallica have to wait to get their music on Pandora? No. Why did I have to wait? You know what I mean? I want their promotion. But but when it comes down to it, it's all about the mighty dollar and who's got the money and who's got the power, and little guys left out, pretty much. unless you got the funds to back what you need to do. But you know, a lot of people don't.
Yeah, that right, and that's not just sour grapes. That's a reality, right? And that's a reality of how it's been probably now completely for a couple decades here. And the thing is, right, if you've got that money and that backing, I don't care if you were somebody with a cigarette burnout voice at 80, they got the equipment that make anybody sound good. It's that same corporate generic sound, right? I mean, gone are the days of a garage band working their way up and becoming a great perennial top 40 band and whipping out 2-3 records year after year after year and being a super group. And it's funny, in those days the competition was really fierce too, so it was no short feat. They weren't doing that in a small market with no other competition. But gone are the days of the original sound, because you have to have an in already to get through into the US, and it's always kind of like that here. But everything is so corporate now and sounding and just so the same, and it's not even about the music or the talent. It's aim. It's your right stuff. It's who they market to. Well, this person might not be that great at singing, but they can market the hell out of that image, right? They can market the hell out of that image and sell T-shirts, sell whatever, or get everybody hooked on reading the tabloids and not being in their life, and you know, caring what somebody else is doing, another human being, just because you've heard of them on a record. You want to know what they're up to and follow their career, and it's just really, you know, it's really kind of sickening. And then on the other hand too, you'll never see, I don't care even if it was a free market, you'll never see people come along again that'll reach the status of, say, the Beatles, say Rolling Stones, say Michael Jackson, say even some of these lesser ones. And the reason, I'll tell you why, is because back in those days, girls, guys, fans, they would faint. You would literally see them faint over the Beatles, Elvis, faint over Michael Jackson, and that's because the exposure wasn't there. You were only going to see your favorite artist in a magazine once a month, or you know, a couple times a year if they were on some talk show, or they came to your town to perform a concert. That's the only access. Now everything's 24/7. So even somebody of that status now, I don't think you'd quite get like the people passing out and defecating on themselves just because they touched Ringo Starr's, you know, shoe. So, you know, everything's changing, but you know, that's why I like your music. I like Leah's music, Lionel Anderson's music, because it's so futuristic that we've been so stagnant in music for a couple decades now as a whole. And that's not to say there hasn't been good songs here and there come out, whatever, but it's just been stagnant and so bland and corporate, and you know, it reminds me of a Soviet neighborhood during the Cold War, everything bland, looking alike. I mean, that's what it is. And you know, it's all a computer generated sound. So but this new you know, some of this other music coming out that's got that spacey groove to it, but yet it's original. You know, I do have hope. I have a lot of hope for the future.
You know what it is, Larry? I think,
you know, it's going to take the paradigm.
I think a lot of music that you do hear nowadays, you do feel like they've lost a lot of their soul. You know, seriously, it just, I don't even bother listening to the radio anymore. I mean, if I do, I'll listen to, you know, classical music. But I just feel like a lot of the music in this world is
Victoria, listen. Yeah, Vic, I wasn't trying to interrupt you, but you mentioned the soul. They sold their soul to the company store a long time ago, and that's just how it is. But yeah, go ahead and continue. It's just that's kind of what it is. It's soulless in a way.
It is. It's just like, obviously when they do, you know, sell their music off or sell their soul, it's again, it's, you know, dark corporations as well that, you know, do put a stop to young musicians who are aspiring, who do have talent and do want to go forth. And you know, an individual think, oh well, I can't go up against them, they're too big. But you know, Stokey can do it, and he's still progressing as well. I mean, it's wonderful to hear of individual musicians, and obviously like Leah as well. I mean, there's a lot of us in the Starseed communities and Pleiadian groups that are, you know, supporting lovely Leah. So, you know, and you know, whether it's buying one album or a few songs, it's still giving to support to someone who can individually write music, which is rare these days. You know, some people just, I don't know, replicate something that's not really original, but to write your own music, to produce it, manage it, everything on your own is so difficult. I mean, I've only had experience like because I was in a band a long time ago. Fortunately, they've got very big now, so you know. But at the same time, it's like I can
What was that
understand.
band you were in?
They were called Cryogenica. I was with them. I was the keyboardist. And it was like in the goth scene. But, you know, I left because it just, you know, I don't know if it's the environment or something, or maybe it's because I just felt like, oh, I'll just give up. I just feel like I can't, you know, compete or something. It was just the energies as well. So I just thought, well, I don't really, you know, I don't really belong here, but in my heart there was music, definitely. So personally, I just stick to my artwork and express myself that way, as you would meet Stokey with your music. And you know, it's everyone has their passion, and really following it is, you know, it's beyond the battle now. When you actually follow that and you follow your heart, it just comes into completion. You become absolutely complete. You don't feel like, oh, well, I've got to belong here, I've got to belong there, or oh, I've got to listen to this music because so and so listens to it. It's really about following your heart. And you know, so many people can just say, oh, well, I'm going to listen to this because this person listens to this, and you know, and how do you know what kind of frequency that music's giving out? I mean, some of the music I've been into, I'm sure we can all relate to. You go into a supermarket and they play music, and then all of a sudden you've forgotten what you were even buying. You're like, well, I came for toothpaste and I've come out with bread. I mean, because obviously the frequency of whatever they're playing, it's like it's dulling your mind. It's doing something. So I don't know if anyone else has experienced that, but I know me and my partner live
Yes.
have, and it's very scary actually, because it's like they've got it on, not that it's loud or anything, but there is a certain frequency and it's being given out, and it's like, seriously, I really don't know what I'm doing. And I think that's what they're doing in a lot of shops, you know, to catch you out, I guess. But yeah, I guess I'm really conscious of that, obviously, but it just makes you think, though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it makes you think that if we're realizing just a little bit of this, what the hell really is going on with the, you know, mind control. And, you know, we get hung up, you know, that's this big bad mind control, and, well, this must be happening. But it's such subtle ways, like the music you could hear at the grocery store could screw with your head like that. The vibration of the place. I know you know, you guys don't have Walmarts over there, I don't think, Victoria. Walmart,
Uh,
I get either one or two emotions in that place, and it doesn't vary. When I pull in the parking lot, it's either, if I have to go there, I either get all of a sudden really, unlike me, stressed and really just, oh God, just
yeah,
totally anxious, or I get in there and I get droned out, tired, like droned out
yeah.
because of what's going on in there.
That's been a natural, real
So yeah, I
experience
mean the
that me and
music
Luke
too.
have had. Yeah, we've gone into a shop with good intentions. We're like, oh, we're going to get in and out, and seriously, we've come out with
Mm-hmm.
absolutely a headache that we can't even describe. I can't even take painkillers, but really, it's like pounding a head, and it's not the music that's loud or anything. It's the energy. It's like you're in no man's land. It's like you're lost, and you think, well, I'm only going out to get some bread. I mean, and you come out with a headache, and you just feel like all your blood in your body's being drained. You just feel so drained. So really, it's an experience, but they are doing this mind control subtly, though.
Yeah, Victoria, you know, it's funny you say that because you know, people like us are the least judgmental people there are, but I actually was in Walmart the other day, and I always am smiling and greet people and try to, you know, put off my Blu-ray Pleiadian charm and just smile when I go by them. But it just seems like not just the worker, but the people in there. It seemed like I was in bad futuristic 70s movies. The people just seemed like they were droned out and not looking well, not that I'm any beacon to look at, but it just, and I don't mean like a class thing, like, oh, they look class. It wasn't that. It was just something seemed really strange about these people. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody, not people, everybody. It was, you know. I was probably looking like I was feeling like they looked and got out of the store, and I was only there a couple minutes. So I mean, it just seemed really strange, and I can't put my finger on it. You know, it's not.
Well,
You know,
it's not right,
it
is
isn't
it?
that, oh, there
Because
was these people here or those people there. Yeah.
yeah, there is definitely some shift going on a deeper subconscious level musically as well, and obviously the vibration of whatever these music, you know, honestly, if I'll ask anyone and all listeners, if you can go into a supermarket or a shop and you go in there with good intentions to buy your groceries, clothing, whatever, if you can go in there, remember the song that you were listening to, and then come out and try to remember that song, that'd be amazing. Because I don't know, anytime I've gone in or even asked my friends when they've gone in, they're like, no, I heard music, but I don't know what it was. I mean, it's more up-to-date kind of pop kind of music, I suppose, but really, it's like, seriously, I can't even remember what the name of the band was or anything. I feel like it's like being abducted, isn't it? You know, you don't know what's going on. It's like they've taken my time. All I was doing is buying a bit here and a bit there, and I've come out with an army supply of shopping, and I didn't mean to, but it's again, it's subconsciously telling to buy, isn't it? So, yeah.
Yeah, I'm getting the impression that Victoria's been guilty of that a few times, of going into the store. It sounds, you keep saying, no, I'm giving you a bad time, but yeah, are you guilty of going in and buying more than a loaf of bread, buying a bunch? You know, I want to touch on that what you said about the music though, real quick, because yeah, bigger stores like that, but I've got a couple of these corner stores that are buying me that are still family owned and everything, and I swear to you, every time I go into either one of them, I hear one of those songs that I always talk about, that 13-song playlist that varies from the 6 years before I was born and 6 after, which would be 86, 69 to 81, and I feel like a lot of those songs weren't originated here. I'd heard them back in Atlantis or in the Pleiades as well, and I hear those songs every time I go into one of those stores like that has a good, comfortable vibe to it, the few that are. But you're right about that. If it was some place I was at, like they had some new hoppity, hippity, whatever, I might not even acknowledge that it's even being played. I just feel the crappiness of the vibration, but I certainly wouldn't remember it when I was at the store. You know, now if I was at the corner market and I heard that great song I loved from 30 years ago, yeah, it would stick in my mind a bit.
Yeah.
But yeah, you know.
It's just odd. I mean, yeah. I mean, it's rare that I'll hear like an old song from, you know, the olden days or something like that, and you think, oh, well, that's a really nice, you know, 70s classic or something. But really, obviously, they don't really play that in these big supermarkets or even majority of the stores here. They just seem to play a lot of the, you know, some of the pop music. I mean, I'm not really a fan of it, to be fair, but it doesn't mean I'll go, oh, that's awful. I'll just go, well, you know, it's not too bad. It's just not my thing. But you know, it really does kind of make you wonder.
No, yeah.
Yeah.
It does, and those times, like I mentioned, where you go in there and you hear a song like "Let's Renew," those are few and very, very far between. And I think that's why it does make a tiny bit impression in that one case, when it is a song like that you happen to hear on a fluke in there instead of the same old droning out music. But yeah, and that's just kind of how it goes. But music is changing; the vibration of it is changing, and I don't know about on the mainstream. I'm hoping people like Stokey, like Leah, like Lionel Anderson, and more that are out there. I heard a young lady posted a song the other night or last night to a couple of the Pleiadian groups, and it sounded kind of like her own style, but had the futuristic, vibey, spacey, trippy, psychedelic, funkadelic, vibe to it. So I'm hoping, though, that this starts, it's got to start somewhere. This starts seeping out into the mainstream, just like, well, the planet is becoming more Pleiadian slowly, so it will, but, it's just a process we're going through. There's nothing that can be done to rush it except for being aware, never have any judgment ever, but always have your bullshit detector on high, and every now moment that you're in, and the other now moments will kind of fall in place. But, yeah, Stokey, I really appreciate you coming on the show too. And did you have anything else that you wanted to talk about, or ask of Victoria, or that you wanted to share with the audience out there? The platform is yours, man. Go for it.
Actually, I do.
Go.
Well, I want to share with you guys a couple experiences that I had when I tried to contact my star family. And after I talked to Victoria, she gave me some things to say and just, to do every night before I go to bed to see if I hear from them. So the very, very, very first time I went to go and do it, I actually did, get contacted. And so I went to sleep, and for some reason, are you guys familiar with System of a Down, the band?
Yeah. Yep.
Well, in the live band that I'm putting together, I'm also going to be doing covers, and I was also working on we're going to be covering that song, but I'm going to be arranging it with with the orchestra and the strings and violins and pianos. I'm giving it a symphonic metal sound, and I had been working on that song, and I guess it was just stuck in my head, all night. So I went to sleep, and the song's still playing in my head. And then all of a sudden, I hear this very, very angelic voice. It's a voice, it's not of this world, but the voice was actually vocalizing along with the song that was in my head. And it was a female's voice, and I could tell it wasn't human, but it was unlike anything I've ever heard in my entire life. And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, shit, that's the voice that I want for my music. But I heard that, and as soon as I heard that, like, I immediately woke up. I'm like, oh my, someone contact me. Somebody here in my room, and I started looking around. Well, I'm not gonna say paranoid, but I was curious. I'm like, man, contact. I'm like, it's awesome. And I told Victoria about it, and she said that was definitely them reaching out to me. And so the next night, I went to go and do it again. And now this is where it gets very interesting. This is very interesting. I'm in my basement again, and there's a couple other people around, and there's my my current singer, who's singing with me. He was the male singer on the song you just heard for the last album, and me and him were jamming, and then all of a sudden, he kind of like tells me that he's reptilian, and then I see his he kind of like changes his skin, and his whole face is green. He didn't look scary, but he looked kind of cool too. But I'm like, whoa, that was kind of like a very weird experience. And then we started jamming again, and then we were in. Then I was up on the top floor of my house, and I saw a spaceship in the distance, and it was kind of just slowly coming over to like my side of the house, and eventually the ship was directly over our house, and it was very, very close to it, and was kind of hovering over it, and I saw the outside of the ship around there. And then all of a sudden, out of space, like right in my dining room, this gateway appears. And it was like almost like the ship was kind of like welcoming me to come in. So I took the invitation. I put my hand out, and something grabbed me and pulled me into the ship. And before you knew it, I was in the ship. And so I'm looking around the ship, and it looked a lot like how one of those tanker ships that are on the ocean. That you go in there and you see like a lot of stairs and a lot of metal and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And there's nobody else in the ship at all, and so I'm looking around for people or whoever, and finally I walk into a room that's looks like an office, and I come to a desk, I start going through all these files, and then I see a file, I think, with my name or my band name on it. So I opened it up. I'm going through the files, and then I see I see the name of a song that I was actually that I had already written for my newer stuff, and I didn't officially have a name for it. You know, when I write something, it'll say just new symphonic metal song, or slow/heavy song. It was something like that, just so that I got at least that I know that it's my song. And I was looking at it, and I just saw the file of that song, and then I was kind of like rudely awoken up because I don't know, somebody's alarm went off, and I'd woken up. So I don't know if somebody was trying to tell me something specifically about that song, that there's something that could be another song that may reach out to people. But I spoke to my girlfriend about that dream, and she heard me about going through the file of it, the file of my stuff, and she says, we should really look a little bit more into the Akashic records. She's like, maybe somebody was trying to tell you to look about the Akashic records. So, all right, so we looked into it a little bit, and then I told Victoria what happened, and then the next couple times I went to go and do it, nothing really happened, and I did it for about maybe like a week or two. I didn't hear from anybody, and I was starting to get a little frustrated. I'm like, wait, I still got, and then that's more questions start coming up, and there was one week I was at my girlfriend's house, and I was taking a shower, and out of the corner of my eye I see a white orb flying by really fast. So I look again on the other side, and I see it again, and it's flying by real fast, and I keep looking, and it's kind of like making its way up to the ceiling, and then it just disappeared. So there was definitely some sort of presence, whether it be spiritual, Pleiadian, or however you want to say it. And I have one more thing to share with you guys. I didn't even tell Victoria this. She told me to try contacting my archangels and finding out what's going on, maybe to help them put me in contact with my star family. So I went and did that, and I went to sleep that night, and guess where I ended up? The Akashic records. But in the dream, I was helping organizing them. I wasn't going through any files, and it was pretty cool. I was standing on the ground, and then the records were above me, and it wasn't something like hard, like a piece of paper or like a file, but they were all I guess, like Victoria would say, like almost holographic. And nobody was speaking to me, but somebody was just relaying this message across to me that like of how it works, and and I was told that you're constantly being updated due to the decisions that people are making. So every time somebody makes a decision, decides, okay, should I go left or go right? That also changes their future. So then a couple million other futures possibilities just drop right in that one thing. And then if the person went left or instead of right, or right instead of left, then you see all the possible probabilities of the future, right? The parallel realities. But it was almost like it was being updated in light, if that makes sense. Like I was seeing like beams of like a light going up and down as people were making decisions, and people were taking new paths and stuff like that. And I kind of wish I didn't wake up, because I kind of wanted to go through there, and there's info that I really wanted to find out. But then I woke up, and that was it. So I just wanted to share that those couple experiences with you guys. So I'm more than happy to hear your take on it. So let me know what you think.
Yeah, you're very welcome, man. And that just was interesting what you were talking about, the orbs. I see those too. I see them in multicolors, but I see the white ones as well. And they will also form on your shower curtains, as crazy as that sounds. I mentioned that because you mentioned taking a shower. But those are Lyran and Pleiadian orbs usually with some of the angelic realms in them. They're a higher ascended form. They're humans kind of like you and I, but they can't come down into Earth into this density in a body like that. So, you know, basically what that is, Stokey, is that was part of your soul collective, or your higher self, or basically it was your soul collective. And as far as I lost my train of thought for a second. Oh yeah, what you were saying about the left and right decisions, right? And how if you would have walked left, well, there's a reality where you would have walked right, but then there's a reality where if you walk right after you walk left, you really walk left after you walk right. So, as you can tell, you know, by that logic, you know, we end up with a trillion parallel realities already before we're practically, you know, in grade school. But I think right now timelines are merging, and that's part of this second half after the 2012 of the rest of this galactical shift. Timelines are trying to merge together to where we can awaken to full consciousness and not be stuck in these parallel realities. Well, there's a parallel reality where you did this, but you didn't do that. I mean, that's so true, and that's what kept, I think, humanity, you know, going around in this vicious circle with each other. It just, you know, it never ends, man. I mean, but I'm hoping the timelines are coming together right now. And Victoria, I'd be real curious what you think on that.
Well, yeah, absolutely. I do feel. Well, no, I'll go back a little bit for the, you know, Stokey's experiences as well. I mean, obviously, when me and Stokey have spoken, and he'll say to me, "Oh, well, I've had this experience, and how do I communicate?" And I've sort of been giving him ideas and tips and that kind of thing. It was really a genuine honour that he actually came to me and I would ask, and I'd try my best to try and help him. And but when he was telling me about the experience, I was thinking, wow, you know, Stokey is having these experiences, and whether he's awake or unconscious or, you know, in an astral, he nevertheless is actually having these experiences. And, you know, even with the orbs as well, I've had the experience of orbs as well, and to see an orb, it's like, it's them just sort of hanging around, just saying, well, we're with you, your consciousness is our consciousness, and they build a bridge that way with your consciousness as well. So, you know, throughout all timelines as well, we're all going through this, and eventually we're all going to be telepathic, aren't we? So it's really interesting that, you know, Stokey, you got to have these experiences as well, because it just makes you realise that, you know, nothing is impossible, whether it's this parallel universe, the other parallel realities, dimensions and shifts. We're all in it together, essentially. We're all connected to each other. So it's only a matter of time where these timelines shift so rapidly together that there won't be any little occurrences where there's little anything to stop, where we're going to spiritually progress. You know, since, I don't know, where is it, onwards, from 2012 onwards and upwards, I think that we are going to be galactic citizens, and there will be a big galactic shift. Was it through we're at the halfway point now, aren't we? So you know, it's only a matter of time when, you know, as they call it soft disclosure, don't they, at the moment? But, you know, when we have full disclosure, I think, you know, it's just going to be on people's minds consciously, and they're just going to you know, I'm going to say embrace. I want to say embrace more than fear, or, you know, it's just going to be so much in the mainstream that people are just going to be like, oh, well, you know, it's come to a point where they're not going to be like, oh, this is weird or anything. I think that there'll be a mutual understanding, but I don't think there's anything for people to fear. I mean, obviously, discernment is everything. You're always going to have that, because, you know, no doubt about it, the government to some degree are going to probably do something. I'm not here to put that fear out, obviously. I mean, to do something, maybe just say, oh, well, these are not real aliens or whatever, because you never know, do you? They seem to have a plan, but as I really strongly believe, my guides told me that, you know, at this present moment, that there really isn't anything to fear anymore now. We've gone through all the wild cards, and this is just the last resort now, where we are going to be told the truth of who we are, what we are, where we come from, and quite right, we will be having we will be told, and it's not going to go down too well to spiritual communities, because I myself am not, you know, religious. As Stokey, I believe you're not either, but it's just obviously it's not going to go well, because these control, these, I want to call them like collective, you know, a collective of control. I just believe that, you know, a lot of the majority have wiped off this planet, and with all that taken out and consideration for people, that people are just going to walk away from these big sort of corporate and religious places and temples, and just say, you know, I think we deserve the truth. We've been through so much, and I think it's only a given right that we should know. I mean, why should we have to hide? And why, you know, there's a lot of things that are coming out, you know, in the Matrix. So we're obviously seeing glitches. I mean, when people start seeing ships and entities, and I've had a lot of extraterrestrial activity in my home and throughout my lifetime. And I've got to say, when I've ever had a galactic being appear to me, they appear to me like very much like either an orb, telepathic message, or which probably might scare a few people, I've actually had a full, it looks like a hologram. I've actually projected pretty much like a hologram, but not quite, because I can't explain it, because there isn't anything that's like this on Earth that you can explain. But they've projected themselves in such a way that they've made me aware of them standing right behind me, that I've turned. And I've seen this literally 5 foot plus blue being, blue skin, wrapped in like a navy blue kind of, I don't know if you want to call it, like an aura, but it seemed like it was quite thick, quite dense around him, so I'm presuming it was a kind of like protective barrier around him, so he can sort of, you know, be able to actually, you know, materialize before my eyes. But he wasn't like a solid being, that's the thing. And, you know, one thing is, like, when we do have disclosure as well, and one thing I realize is you've obviously got to have that resonate with them, you know, in your heart. You've really got to feel it. I mean, really truly feel them loving energies, because anything that projects itself to you, materializes and says, oh, I'm from the light, but they may not be, you know, that there is that. And there's a lot of people that do give false hope to the beings that are not. But obviously the real beings that are really here to help us all and bridge that gap between humanity, they will have a lot of pure light and pure intention and pure love in their hearts that project onto you, and it's just, you can't falter that. You feel it, and it's just like, you know, some people have had this experience. It's just, you know, obviously the being that communicated with me is telepathic, and it just feels like we're all going to be like that, you know. We're all going to have that, where we don't have any gaps anymore. We're just conscious beings walking the planet or wherever we want to go. Yeah.
Yeah, and it's happening so quick. I mean, we really are. In a channeling I had with the Pleiadian telepathically about 7 months ago, they came in real strong into my ear that night, and they wanted me to make sure I realized that, yes, we are building that bridge of telepathy. And back at that time, and that was just 6-7 months ago, we were having the synchronicities, but they were days apart or a week apart. And look just how much it's going quick, because that's how it starts. Where, you know, you've got to tune into somebody else's frequency to be able to speak telepathically to them. But it also helps when you feel like you're talking to Star Family, you know, whether it's somebody in the groups or whatever, maybe somebody in person. It helps to know that they're, you know, you just feel that vibe with them. I mean, it's almost to the point where we don't even need to talk anymore. I mean, it's going to put radio shows out of biz, because, I mean, that'd be real boring to sit there and listen to telepathic radio. You know, we could try a show like that sometime, Victoria. We'll come on and not say anything the whole show. We'll just say, didn't you hear us speaking telepathically? Yeah, but you know, it's up to the collective. more by the day, then it'll stem the tide, right? And it's not going to be a bloody revolution to win this thing. This isn't the protest of the Vietnam War generation kind of a win this thing. We are walking away from it. About 90% of it is we're walking away from it, right? We're walking away from the corporate crap. We're walking away from watching the TV. We're just slowly just walking away from it, right? And eventually, you know, and it's already out there, people have the free energy devices, you know, here and there, and then more people to get them. And I mean, it's just kind of like we're just kind of walking away from that kind of mentality, and at the same time, that dark energy that dies hard that's been controlling it for so long, that's bubbling to the surface right now. That's what we've got, and it's, you know, it's just kind of fading. And I think you're right, Victoria, about disclosure. I think it's a situation where, of course, they're contacting different citizens around the world. We're examples of that. And whether Stokey, I hope he realizes that now he is too. He's one of those too. And then they're contacting groups of people, right? They're not contacting governments. They might have tried that, but it doesn't work. I mean, so disclosure could come about with, you know, hey, some extraterrestrials, and that video leaks out there, and there's nothing they can do to cover it up. But more so than that, they're appearing more in our consciousness in the skies, like these cloud ships that I've seen for years that the Pleiadians do, the disc-shaped, slanted, cloaked clouds. Those things are starting to slowly appear clearer and clearer, I think, to the masses. Of course, then at that point, you'd have to get somebody to be willing to look up for once in their life, or look past their nose, or have some peripheral vision. So that there's the first struggles to get them to have any of that, and then to not have that fear of accepting it. We've been so programmed to fear anything. There could be life on another planet, yet we're supposed to believe in a phony Bible that there's angels playing harps in the clouds. Well, there may be too, but yet they don't want you to believe in extraterrestrials, when in and of itself, anything that would have come here under their definition is an extraterrestrial. For some reason, they want us cut off. They've wanted us cut off from that energy for so long here, you know, that people are scared. It would be like thinking there was nobody else in the world back of, I don't know, 1,000 years ago, when you were, you know, an island nation when exploring, and they were so surprised to find that there were other people that lived on Earth. I mean, you know, I wouldn't be. I don't think I would have been, just like I'm not, because I know they're out there in the galaxy. But I think it's hard for me to understand that that would surprise anybody, but yet I have a sad feeling it's going to really surprise a lot of people. And I don't know why. I just don't know why it would.
Yeah, I think so as well. I think it's not going to be that easy, but you know, there are people like you, me, Larry, and Stokey and a lot of people in the spiritual groups that can really help out people, you know, when there is a full disclosure. You know, that people will be turning to people like us because they want answers. We can't answer everything, but they want to know. They want to know that they're going to be okay, they're going to be secure, what's going to happen, and you know, they're going to feel like, you know, they've been cheated. The governments, everyone's been cheated out of something. History, the whole complete history of the world and everything. And you know, I remember having I think it's regression, and it was actually quantum. I think it's called quantum healing regression. Anyway, it's the same technique that Dolores Cannon used in her clients, and basically it's where your subconscious speaks. And my subconscious, when I was under regression, apparently I said that I was very specific about the timeline when I came here to Earth and everything, and even to the point where I said, Earth, it's been created so many times, infinite times, and I don't mean on a physical level either. So, you know, it's just something that makes you realize that, you know, when they say Earth is how old it's meant to be, it's actually a lot older than that. You know, there are certain things that are coming out because, you know, things people want to know. People are thirsty for that. They don't want to just hear what we've got in the world. They want more. They want more answers. And, you know, we are God, basically, essentially. We are, you know, you know, God creators of ourselves, our universes, our realities. So really it's, you know, when they're trying to cut us off and they don't want us to know, it's because we stand in our power and then know how powerful we are individually and as a collective. Because, you know, it's an easy thing for it to be controlled for so long, but once we're unplugged, taken out of this matrix, and people start waking up more and more, I feel that, you know, a lot of the language we use and the communication and understanding one another will be a lot easier, and, you know, there will be more harmony than disharmony in this universe. And I feel the star seeds themselves have brought a lot of the energy and anchored it here from whichever star system they come from, maybe Syrian, Arcturian, and etc. But, you know, it's a blessing to have all the beings that have really fought so hard to come to this planet. It's one of the hostile planets, but essentially there's a big majority of light workers here. There are not all, you know, starseeds, but there's a lot of, you know, light workers here who want to anchor that healing here, who want to help Mother Earth. And, you know, I really, from my heart, really bless each and every one of those souls who really come here to really want to do something, to really want to make a difference, and, you know, really bring that love forth, you know, because this planet has lost that for a long time. And bringing the Christ consciousness is, it's not about bringing the physical Jesus here. It's about bringing the Christ consciousness into your minds and hearts and your spiritual bodies, and really anchoring that here and making more people conscious of that. So it's a way that, you know, a progressive shift, so to speak, now, isn't it, Larry and Stokey? So it's, you know.
Yeah, the thing is, too, like you said about it, having the opportunity, Victoria, looking at this as an opportunity for us, if that kind of disclosure thing does come, to, you know, keep loved ones around us, calm down, and be there to answer questions. Well, I tell people that a lot, and have over the year in private, that they just, you know, they'll say the same thing that we, you know, same story, I and Stokey, and all have a little bit, or at least 80%, like, you know, we grew up, nobody got us. Nobody, you know, I just felt like I was so alone. I felt like my family doesn't get me. My family thinks I'm weird because I believe in UFOs. Well, you know, and on and on and on and on down the list. But what I try to tell these people is that, listen, there's going to come a time, and not too far off in the future, really not that far, where you're going to actually be needed, and you're going to be respected by those family members, because they're going to be looking to you for guidance and information. And then, you know, the only humbling thing about it is you can't, at that point, you can't get into that I told you so mode with them. Mm. You have to be there for them at that point to fulfill your mission and be a way shower. But it's such a foreign concept, because these people are still have no self-confidence, and they've been beat down their whole life emotionally, because, you know, they dared to think different, you know, they dared to have peripheral vision, so to speak. But there's going to come a time where, you know, they're going to be looked to by people around them, you know.
Yeah, I think so as well. And all we can do is, I mean, I'd never want to be one of those people that, oh, I told you so, because to me it's just like, well, no, it's just accepting, well, this is a situation now, and it's a real wake-up call. And it's not going to be that pleasant. It may be to some degree, but I just feel that, you know, there will be a lot of people scared, obviously. And, you know, so obviously we have to do what we have to do here, and it's part of our mission. And I do feel like even with the light codes, we're giving light codes, and Stokey as well, when you mentioned that you were giving these codes and light codes, it makes absolute sense, because these are the codes that we call downloads, or they activate us when we're sleeping. And part of it really is to integrate into your DNA and, you know, activate each and individual strand, you know, 12, 24 onwards. It depends. But, you know, once all the codes are switched on, and it's like we're put into mission, and we know exactly we're called into service. And some people, some starseeds, they don't know when they're going to be called into service, but it's a strong, strong feeling, and you get that pull, and then you know, and then you have to, it's just like it's consistent in your mind. It's like you're hungry, but you don't know what to eat, but once you get to that mission, whether you succeed or not, that's entirely down to the individual. But it's not easy in this 3D polarity world, but essentially you have to do what's best for yourself and do it in the name of your heart and soul, and really integrate that part of you, which is, you know, part galactic, part human, and do what you came here to do. If you don't remember, I mean, a lot of Stasis don't remember their missions, but the important thing is that each day is just, don't take things for granted, but, you know, just do what you can, and what you can in your community bit by bit, you know. I mean, we all want to do bits to help one another, whether it's planting a seed, helping a neighbour, looking after someone's pet dog, or really going out there and doing something much bigger. It all adds up, and it's equally all the same, and it's all beautifully, divinely crafted and orchestrated. So we're only given as much as we can do, but essentially it's our soul contracts that made us decide what we're going to do here. And even before, for a long time, we've all decided what we all want to do, and it really is essentially up to you how you do it, how it plays out, and whether you feel that you succeeded. I mean, there's lots of starseeds I've read about and heard about that feel like they're not doing enough, but you know, you're here on this planet, you're already doing enough. You know, you may not feel like you're doing much, but you are here. Whether it's to comfort someone who's going through a bad time, I mean, think about that. Think about all the times that, you know, there may have been someone severely depressed or going through a lot, and you spoke to them, and you've seeded something in their subconscious that's made them hang on. Or, you know, only recently I was talking to someone I know, and they were going to take their life, and, you know, I just said, well, you know, I'm not one of those people that are righteous or anything. It's just, you know, essentially it's always up to them. But, you know, I try to comfort them, and it seems like whatever they decided, but it's not, don't look at it as a good or bad thing. It's just that's their decision. And, you know, I said to my guys, I was crying my heart out, and I said, this is just sad. I mean, I know people have their contracts, but essentially what you feel like you want to be uplifting people and bringing them to a new perspective of consciousness. But, you know, there are so many people, we're not all out to help everyone, but we can try, you know, bit by bit.
Yeah, and I think more people, it might not be as quite as bad as we think. I think people are starting to awaken, even the mainstream. I'm not one to just fall for any bullshit, but you just see little subtle hints in people, even maybe people you may know that don't even believe in any of this, just subtle little changes in them, okay? So that's happening, and I think a lot of it, what it's going to be if there was a mass disclosure, Victoria, is that you'd get a lot of those people that we may think would freak out. I think a lot of those people might just, at that point when it was known, they might just say, yeah, I've always figured that, and it might just be like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it comes into our consciousness when we can handle it. And that's the thing about the Pleiadians, to a person that I've talked to, except for maybe a couple of exceptions, right, that have Pleiadian roots, they never heard that name Pleiadians until they were ready to, or stumbled across Bringers of the Dawn. I mean, they had never heard it. And then a couple people I talked to had heard the term once. They heard that term Pleiades like once when they were younger, one other time. But most people, they had never heard of the Pleiadians until all this started kicking into full gear for them, you know? Like you remembering hearing their name on a radio show, Victoria, like that was one thing you and I do have in common, is that you were reminded about their name on a late night radio show, like I was here, listening to Coast to Coast. Never did really listen to it much, but my station was out. And they mentioned him just once in the show. It was out of something else, and I thought, And so it's funny, almost to a person though, these people say the same damn thing.
Oh, it's true actually. I mean,
thousands of people.
You know, I never even, you know, when I had visitation.
What was that?
When I had visitation from the age of 6 and 7, I never even heard them say Pleiades or Pleiadians. They never announced themselves like that. They just said that they showed me visually where I'm from, and they said, Electra, you're from Electra. So you know, obviously I was a kid, I didn't understand. I had no internet, I had no one to communicate with that way. So I think on the show, for some reason, when I heard the word Pleiades or Pleiadians, it's really struck with me, and I'm like, what? How do I know this? This feels familiar. So, you know, having the visitations as well, that, you know, over my lifetime, it kind of helped that they brought that into my consciousness and they spoke to me. So, and I feel like a lot of people will just, you know, when we have the full disclosure, yeah, it's going to be in our consciousness for sure. It's just going to happen. It's going to be so, you know, oblivious. It's just going to be there. It's just people are not going to miss it. Put it that way.
So all is well in the universe, I guess. I think that that's what we've figured out here tonight on this wonderful edition of Pleiadian Night Talk, or actually Pleiadian Talk, but whatever. Not that we exist in time in the PEP, but I mean, it just is what it is, and you know, I think it helps for people like us to talk with each other, you know, just to kind of reassure us of what we already know. All we can do is live in the now moment. I mean, that sounds such a cliche, but it's really true. It's a cliche that is so true, but you've got to get that on a higher consciousness level to really take that in. Otherwise, it does just sound like some stupid cliche, you know. But yeah, I think we've covered a lot of ground tonight, and it's been a real great show, and I can't wait to see what the response is. And I can't wait for people out there to listen to this so they can hear, you know, Stokey's story, and I'm sure that we're going to get people that resonate with it, that particular version or style, maybe even more so than Vic and I do, which is a lot, that they'll have experiences that are just like yours, like the Astral and you know, the visit with a Native American and things of that nature. So I'm really excited for that. Stokey, before we wrap it up, do you have anything else that you'd like to talk about? I am going to have you tell everybody out there, if they're interested in knowing Stokey a little bit better, where they can find you on Facebook or the World Wide Web. But before you go into that, is there anything else you would like to say?
Can't think of anything else at this moment. I mean, you guys pretty much hit the nails on the head. You know, just people getting together and talking about similar experiences that they had and sharing stories and stuff like that, and just really trying to open up the minds of people, you know, and to, you know, doing different things. I mean, I tried to open up people, family members, close friends, but believe it or not, some of my students actually open up to me a lot about some things. One of my students spoke of seeing a shadow person. But, you know, of course, you know, I didn't tell them that, you know, I'm like, oh, you saw a shadow person, because, you know, otherwise forget it. You know, then I got the parent calling me up. What the hell did you tell him? And they'd scream at me. So, you know, I just had to tell him, I says, you know, just a dream, you know, don't worry about it, you know. But it's just, you know, you gotta.
Oh yeah, that'd go over real well with the parents, wouldn't it?
I know.
Yeah.
I also have another student that I actually believe is definitely a starseed, and it's funny. I look at her and I see me, you know, all black, you know, likes heavy, just like the insane, crazy, loud music, you know, the music of more like her generation, and you know, I'm trying to get her into, you know, introduce her to like Epica, Nightwish, some DB Bouguer, Slayer, you know, Pantera, you know, like the old bands. Like, okay, yeah, these guys are good, but you know, these guys solo from these old artists, you know, and you know, she's coming along, but you know, she'll tell me, you know, some stuff that goes on, you know, but people call her weird and everything, and you know, I always try to give the best advice I can, and you know, she seems to like understand it pretty much, and you know, she takes it with a grain of salt, and you know, so so I mean, I believe that, you know, you meet everybody in your life for a certain reason, and that everybody that you meet in your entire life, you've known them in your past life, in your previous life, before that, and before that. So you know, I'm just trying to do what I can, you know, give advice to people, help them out, and promote my music at the same time doing it. Just get out there. but it's so hard to do it because so many people don't have that open mind, and opening up people's mind is like pulling teeth. So it's, oh God, drains my energy. But, you know, one does what one can.
Exactly. There's so many people out there, right, Bud, that don't have an open mind. Then you got a climate that's controlling that too, and keeping. I mean, you're not exactly living in the best era either to try to make a breakthrough in the United States because everything's so corporatized, and you know what I mean. Your sound is definitely not what they would. Your consciousness raising sound is definitely not what they want out there in the mainstream to awaken people. Well, of course, in that you're not related to some record company owner. Probably that hurts the cause too. But yeah, all we can do through us, right? We're talking, right? It's not like you've got a big, huge audience, or that your music would have as huge of an audience through the Starseed community. But at the same time, we're talking about it, and I hope more and more people that are in the similar positions will start talking about it with each other, and as we start to, move away from the grid a little bit and move, into kind of our own thing and live and let live and no judgment, and, people are responsible enough to understand that and adhere to that, and, it'd be like, you live in a neighborhood and you got these nosy neighbors, right, that always want to know your business and stuff. Well, in a higher dimensional vibration, everybody would know your business, but it wouldn't matter because there's no judgment, right? Nobody has any judgment. So there's no And actually, it's late. I'm starting to ramble on about nothing. I could have started talking about Gone with the Wind probably there, and my mind's just all over the place. But Stokey, where? Okay, you have, of course, your own. Well, everybody's got their own Facebook page. Your timeline. Just let everybody know out there, or if there's a website. Let everybody know out there how they can get a hold of you, or where they could find you on the web if they wanted to get in contact with you.
Yeah, sure, definitely. If you want to get me on my personal Facebook page, it's Stoki Megatooth. That's Stoki, and then Megatooth. You just type it in, and I'll pop right up. If you're interested in the band and the music, you could also find me on Facebook as well. That's Infinitus Mortis. That's INFINITUS, and then Mortis, MORTUS. And again, you can find me on sites like Reverb Nation, SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Rhapsody, and finally Pandora, Pandora Radio. If anyone's interested in just taking a couple listens to my songs. I'm also working on. I just released a single over December of 2014 with a new singer. Destiny Beard is the new singer. Most people, that's usually the song most people heard. The name of the single is Transcendence of Souls. That can also be found on iTunes as well. People are just being blown away by that song, and that one's like everyone is just raving about it. So I've been trying to promote it a little bit more. I'm trying to get it on Pandora, but Pandora denied it. Big surprise there. And but you can find it on iTunes, and you can definitely find it on Spotify. I was also thinking of maybe possibly putting together a petition for Pandora. If you want to hear that single on Pandora, then maybe we could all sign something, or send it over. I'll send over Pandora and say, hey, look, these people want this music on Pandora. Just shut up and put it on there, And let's see what else. That's it. Yeah, message. You could find me on Facebook, and yeah, that's it. Or if you don't know directly where to find me, you could always ask Larry or Victoria to put you in contact through me. So in case if I ever don't show up when people type in my name, because Facebook's known to do that actually. You type in somebody's name and it doesn't pop up. So if you can't find me, just Victoria or Larry. And yeah,
we will send them in the right direction. Yeah, we'll send them in your direction, brother. Yeah, exactly. We'd be glad to, and certainly be happy to do that. And Victoria Pleiadian, where can they find you in the wonderful, wonderful matrix world of the web and Facebook?
Oh dear. Well, I'm plugged for a start, but yeah, you can catch me or find me individually, and my page is Victoria Pleiadian, or you can also, I'm the admin for Pleiadians UK. Of course, all people could join. You don't have to be from the UK. Also, Arcturian Love and Wisdom, and Twin Flame Souls United, the Pleiadian Light Grid Project, the Arcturian Crystalline Grid Project, Humanity and Ascension Group, and various other groups. Also, the Big Mothership Pleiadian group as well. And I'm always here to answer any questions, or if anyone needs any help or guidance, I'll do my best. But it really would be a blessing. Just stop by and say hi. And also, I want to send a big shout out to my twin flame as well, Luke. So yeah, I'm just really happy to, be here, speak to Larry, and also to thank Stokey for being here with me and Larry as well. It really is a pleasure to meet you and voice here, and I really wish you all the luck with your music and everything else. I think, I've got a good feeling that everything's going to work out divinely for you, and I wish you all the best, Stokey. So thank you very much.
Thanks. I appreciate you guys talking to me. I really do. I know everybody's busy with their schedules, and it's been hard to really get in contact and just sit down and talk. So I'm really grateful you guys took out the time to talk to me. So.
Yeah, I'm really grateful. So I'm grateful you've been really patient about it too, and I really certainly appreciate that, Stokey, because everybody does have things going on in their life, but I understand how it is, and when people don't get back to you and things like that, and I do apologize that it took us so long to connect, and everything for a reason, and I'm just really grateful to have met you and to have that reconnection with you as well. And as far as where anybody can find me on Facebook, I think they know all these groups that Victoria and the pages you mentioned, right? You can find me on those. So I need to go into that. She did all the work with mentioning those. But the Fringe Thinkers, also all the Pleiadian regional groups, Reiki, Twin Flame, like Victoria mentioned, the big Pleiadians Mothership group. Shout out to Leah Shapiro. We love you, boss. And just the plethora of pages that are out there. Look us all up on Facebook, and we can all help you get in touch with each other if you can't find one of us. And if you don't see one of us in the future, you'll probably see one of us in the pasture. So I just wanted to wish much luck to everybody out there, and just keep on keeping on in every now moment. And I guess the way
Night is coming down and I have to wait for a sign from above.
A hope, a wish escapes.
I am prey of my tears, I want to fly to a place where he is.
To the darkened skies. Take your black wings, 'cause I am not afraid of what's beyond. Send my soul to sleep, 'cause all the progress that I have is gone.
When he left me in this world, I lost my dreams. They became nightmares.
All my hope is gone.